So what did we learn from Chelsea versus Wolves?
All good things. All good things, I think.
Yeah, I mean, debatably. Some good things, some questionable. Some, I don't want to say worrying, but some things that need to be sorted sooner rather than later. We'll get to that.
Okay.
Okay. So 3-0.
Yes.
That's a good amount of goals and a clean sheet.
Yes, and for once, it wasn't our defenders scoring.
Yes, that's something I very much like.
Yeah.
Right, let's start as far back as we can go. All the way back to our own goals.
Okay, then.
Now, Kepa Arrizabalaga.
Yes, the person that has had many debates about.
Yes, he's a controversial topic for Chelsea fans especially, mainly due to the fact that, well, he was the record amount, goalkeeper signing.
Yes.
And within I think it was his first season at Chelsea, there was the controversial moment where he was subbed off and then refused to leave the pitch.
Oh, yes. Good old Sarri Cup final.
Mm-hmm. That put me off him at the time. I remember being like, just do what your manager tells you to do. If you're being subbed off, go off.
Yeah, I still don't agree with the fact that we kept him at the club after that. I think he should have been sold because that level of disrespect, albeit most fans at that point weren't on Sarri's side in terms of the greater scheme of how the club was going. But yeah, you don't do that, especially in a cup. Well, it doesn't matter cup final or not. You don't do that.
Well, it didn't take long after that incident for us to sign a new goalkeeper in Edouard Mendy.
Yep.
Mendy has had his ups and downs as well.
Yep.
But for the most part has kept Kepa out of the team, the starting team.
Yes. I mean, when he first came, he was a phenom. He was incredible.
Yeah.
You couldn't beat him. Our whole defense was just at a different level with Tuchel first there and stuff as well. It was insane. It's like we would never concede a goal. Yet now, well, at least more recently, we've gone through the point of we cannot keep a clean sheet. So getting 2 clean sheets within a week is a very, very good sign. And I actually feel like Kepa has done a good job in making that happen.
I agree. I mean, you can't... Clean sheets isn't just a result of good defense. It's probably mostly defense, but a goalkeeper has its job as well. It's not just shot stopping. It's organizing the defense. It's organizing the wall for free kicks and stuff like that. A lot more is a goalkeeper's responsibility than just saving shots.
Yes, it's even so much of it comes down to decision making.
Yeah,
and more recently than not, Mendy's decision making has been questionable.
I agree.
Especially his attempts to play out from the back when you don't or shouldn't be trying to play out from the back. I get it, for a certain point, keeping possession is good rather than hoofing up the field and just hope that your players win the ball. I understand why keeping possession is a good thing. However, when you've got a striker 2 yards away from you, just get rid of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like Kepa is better with his feet when it comes to those times if he wants to do it. But also he seems to be a bit better at just getting rid of if necessary.
So the thing we've learned here from this game is that Kepa maybe deserves to be in the starting lineup ahead of Mendy right now.
Yes, I think one of the big things is that Kepa's Chelsea career is not actually over yet.
No. I mean, I'm not 100% sure what the issue is with Mendy. Is he ill? Is he injured?
I think it was supposed to be an injury.
Okay, so when he comes back, it'll be interesting to see what Graham Potter decides to do there with who he starts. My opinion on the matter is keep Kepa going until he shows that he's not as good as Mendy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I feel like Kepa has performed well enough to keep his place at this time.
I agree. Moving out from the back then, let's go and look a little bit at the defense. Now, this game was missing from the starting lineup both Thiago Silva and Reece James.
Yes, and Chilwell, although that was more expected.
But Reece James and Thiago Silva are probably the first name on the team sheet for me. So it was a little bit of a surprise, especially in a league game.
Yeah, I could understand the Silva one because AC Milan is potentially a bigger game right now. So having him playing 3 times within a week might have been a bit much. So I guess the 2 AC games are more suited to his age as well. And I could understand that one, although I still think he might have played. But yeah, he did not.
So in his place, sorry, I had a yawn. In his place stepped Trevor Chalobah.
Yes. I mean, he came on the pitch against AC with Fofana's injury. And he looked solid as anything. He looked great. And then he kept that going into this game.
Chalobah's one of those players that since his first chance, I think was under Lampard.
Yep.
when he scored that screamer. Was that his first opportunity? Do you remember it?
Oh, I'm struggling to think of Chalobah's first. I mix it up with Tomori's.
It was a good goal,
Yeah.
put it that way. Anyway, since then, he's made very few mistakes. Maybe the odd one or two, but nothing that makes me think he's not a solid defender. Every defender makes one or two mistakes, you know? So keeping him out of the starting lineup has always seemed a little harsh to me. He's kind of proven that he's at this level. So sometimes it's nice to see him get that opportunity, and he very much showed that he belongs there.
Yeah.
Statistically, and I've only seen this from a post, I haven't actually checked this, so
Okay.
maybe take it with a pinch of salt. But I believe we haven't lost a game when Chalobah has started.
Ooh, that is interesting.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me in a way from a Chelsea fan's point of view. Like, we do look more comfortable when he plays. And I feel like our better results come when he plays. Okay, yes, he's had those couple of mistakes, but so's Thiago Silva, so's Koulibaly, so's Fofana.
Exactly.
I feel like, if anything, he makes less mistakes for the amount of time he's on the pitch. And yeah, and I think there is always going to be that bit of bias that he is a Cobham boy. He is one of the Chelsea youth players, and seeing them on the pitch is, I love that. Like,
sometimes those are the best players, not purely down to a talent point of view, but they seem to have that extra bit of desire,
yeah,
like a point to prove.
yeah, playing for your hometown, like your boyhood club, is always going to give you that added spark. But as well, it's the chemistry of all those players having grown up together. There's just that kind of thing you can't necessarily introduce later on to all these big money signings coming in. If you've got this group of players who've been together for 10 plus years already, you're not going to get that with 6 months of training.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
And it's nice from this point of view, and I think the main thing we've learned from this is we can be confident in our depth at the back. Let's say we're playing 5 at the back. That the 3 we've got: Thiago Silva, Koulibaly, Fofana, Chalobah, potentially Cucurella, Azpilicueta. Like all these players that can play in these positions are solid. And
Yes.
I would be happy with pretty much any combination of those players going into a match.
I would agree. Yeah.
So that's another nice thing we've learned.
Yeah.
Moving up the pitch again, we got Mason Mount, another Cobham boy.
Yes. And thank God he's finally rediscovered the ability that he was showing for so long before.
I believe it was somewhere in the region of 14 games with no goal involvements.
April.
Oh.
April was his last one before.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was a long time coming. And in all honesty, he had not started this season well, to the point that he really had deserved to be dropped beforehand. He was lucky to keep his place really in the games under Tuchel, but that was one of the issues that really got him sacked, was his team management in a way.
Yeah.
But really, like, this is the player Mount is, and this is what he's capable of. And all Chelsea fans have known this through this entire drought. And that's almost what's been more frustrating, is every game you go, this will be the game he's back. This will be the game he's back. But now I think after the Wolves game, we can safely say this is the game he has come back.
Yeah, I agree. No goal involvements for however many months that is, and then 2 come at once. Both
Yes.
good assists as well.
Yes. And
And should have scored.
yeah, he definitely should have. He
And did, but it was offside.
Yeah, and that was absolutely beautiful. That's very much a case of, if Haaland scores that goal this season, you're seeing countless replays of it.
Yeah.
It was an absolutely beautiful finish. Yeah, okay, the run he maybe should have held a little bit, but also the momentum, it was hard to hold. So you kind of have to give him benefit of the doubt in a way. The fact he's getting into the positions at this point is what is most important, I think.
Seeing Mount show his true potential makes me very happy.
Yeah, but there's also one thing that surprised me about that game, is the fact, and it's actually something I said in the previous video, which I almost have to take back already, and that is that I didn't feel Gallagher and Mount could play in the same team.
Okay, yeah,
I felt
forgot
they
about
were
that.
too similar. But this game showed, because Gallagher also had an incredible game, and I think it showed that they do actually have the potential to play in the same 11 if put in the right system. And I think this system showed that they could do it.
I agree. And while we're on that subject, I think the next thing we could touch on that we've learned from this game is that both Loftus-Cheek and Gallagher belong at this level.
In Cobham, we trust.
Yes. Loftus-Cheek and Gallagher both looked amazing. Loftus-Cheek has looked fantastic with every opportunity he's been given this season.
Yes, we said it in previous video. He's one of those players that we've always rooted for, that he deserved to have the chance. And we know that potential has always been there, but injuries have not been on his side. And I think Graham Potter may have found the key to truly unlock the player that Loftus-Cheek can be.
I hope so, but he has just looked so solid. He's great defensively. He makes very few mistakes. He moves so well on the ball, and has really great vision as well. Like some of the passes that he sees and plays are, Pirlo-esque.
Yeah,
That's a very high compliment right there.
Yeah, I feel like at this point, he should 100% be in the starting lineup ahead of Jorginho.
I 100% agree.
Maybe if everyone is fit, maybe Kante and Kovacic are still just ahead of him. But Kante, yes, if he's fit, he's in the starting lineup. No
But it
matter
also
what.
looks like Kante is no longer in our future plans.
Yes, which, wow, yeah, I mean that's a whole subject for another day, I think, because that's huge. That is.
Yeah.
But in terms of right now, I guess, I'd say Kante, if he's fit, he's one of the first names on the team sheet, and then that second midfielder position, if it's a midfield two, is Kovacic or Loftus-Cheek.
And to be honest, it goes back to what I was saying about the defense. It's nice to know that I can be confident with either of those picks.
Yes.
If Kovacic starts, I'm happy.
Yes.
If Loftus-Cheek starts, I'm happy. And it's nice to know that there's enough depth in the squad that that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, a club like Chelsea, we want to be challenging for every cup we're in and the league.
Yes.
And to do that, you need a good squad. You can't just have a good starting 11. So to have that strength in depth, I'm very happy with.
Yeah. Another midfield position we need to talk about, going more attacking now, Christian Pulisic. Pulisic, however you want to say it.
Captain America.
Yes, we'll call him Captain America.
Yeah. Again, he is yet another player that under Tuchel, we were like, he's got the potential, but he is just not that guy anymore. And Graham Potter comes in, and look at that. He suddenly looks like he could be a superstar again.
Well, I've touched on this before as well. I think one of the main differences for him is when he's brought on as a sub, when he comes off the bench, he's almost a try-hard. He really, really wants to take the opportunity. He comes on the 80th minute. He wants to impress in 10 minutes and tries too hard. He's constantly trying to beat players and gives away a lot of possession. But I feel like when he starts, he's a little more relaxed. He knows he's got time to impress, and he performs to his potential more when he starts.
Yeah, and one thing I noticed from the highlights of the Chelsea game is I felt like under Tuchel, I'll address first, I feel like it was almost he was told to not shoot as much. Almost work the ball into the box and do an Arsenal, walk it into the net from back in the day kind of idea. Whereas I feel like under Potter in these last couple of games, he's kind of been given the freedom to go, no, if you get in a position, take a shot.
Yeah.
Because obviously he got his goal, which was absolutely amazing. But there was also that one other shot, which was a great save by Sarr for Wolves.
The curler.
The curler. The one that looked picturesque, going wide the entire way to just come back inside the last moment. But goalkeeper made a great save. But it's an opportunity like that I felt like, well, obviously just a couple of months ago, that he wouldn't have taken that shot.
Yeah.
And obviously he showed by the technique he can finish it.
Oh, for sure. And his goal as well, very good finish to start with, but the play between him and Mount was lovely. That little 1-2 and the run that Pulisic made was delightful.
Like a moment like
Squeezed
that.
his way through.
Yeah, a moment like that made me almost think Hazard was back on the pitch.
Yeah, you're right. It was very Hazard-esque. the
And
way it was played.
we signed him to replace Hazard.
Yeah.
And he's shown the potential that he could get that far. And yeah, it's a step in the right direction.
Now, all those positives
Yes.
bring a question.
Okay.
A really frustrating question.
Okay.
And another thing that I feel like that we did learn from this game is that we don't know, and Graham Potter certainly doesn't know, what our strongest lineup is. It's a good problem to have.
It's a great problem. And I think it's shown straight away. Like Graham Potter coming in, he was known at Brighton for being very flexible with everything he did. He would look at an opposition and go, okay, what's the best tactic for this opposition? Is it 5 at the back? Is it a 4-3-3? Is it a 4-2-3-1? He would just look at the opposition and go, okay, what do I need to do for this game? And in a way, that almost makes that not knowing our strongest 11 less relevant.
I agree. I think that's a very, very important thing to have as a manager is not be so stuck in your ways that you're like, oh, well, my team performed best in a 4-4-2. And this is my strongest 4-4-2. And that's what I'm sticking with no matter the opposition. That is always going to result in failure at some point.
Yeah, and it's kind of the issue that Tuchel came under at the end is going...
Stubbornness.
Yeah, he basically was going, we can't play 4 at the back. We have to play three at the back with our wing backs, and that's it. Doesn't matter. Even if the players aren't fit, we're still fitting players into that formation. Whereas Potter seems very much like he'll go, okay, I'm missing these players, then my only option is this, so we'll go for that. We're playing people in their strongest positions, and funnily enough, when we play people in their strongest positions, they play better.
It's funny that.
Yeah, who would have thought?
Yeah, I think that's probably the key thing that we've learned so far. Potter hasn't had, what 3 games I think he's played in the Premier League so far? Managed?
2. I think it's 2 Champions League, 2 Premier League so far.
Yeah, so just from those 4 games, we're seeing that he's willing to be flexible. At first, I thought maybe he's just trying to figure out where the strengths of the squad lie. But no, I think you're right. I think he is adaptive, and I think he can adapt to the needs of the opposition. And that is a very, very key thing for me. I think as a manager, you have to have.
Yeah, and I think it worked out. Like, this game against Wolves could have gone the wrong way. We made 7 changes from the game against Milan.
And Diego Costa played.
That could have very much turned into a 1-0 Wolves win because of that, of how many changes that is. And I sent it to you in a message that it felt like this was Potter going for a show me what you can do, earn your place in my team game. And they did.
Prove yourself.
Yeah. And it worked out well. Like, obviously, on another day, that could have gone very badly. But I think it shows that he's brought them all together a lot closer than they were at the beginning of the season. And it shows that when he has this flexible approach, that players aren't going to kick off as much as well. It seems like they're going to be more accepting of, maybe, like, for example, your Sterling and your Reece James, that I can imagine it would have been accepted a lot better for them missing this game against Wolves than if the same thing had happened earlier in the season under Tuchel. If he dropped them, it would have gone a lot worse.
I agree. And I mean, on that topic, the fact that, like I said at the start, Thiago Silva, Reece James weren't on the team sheet, neither were Raheem Sterling and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
Just as I brought him into my fantasy team, he gets dropped.
Yeah, I have Thiago Silva, Reece James, and Sterling in mine, I think.
Yeah, so what, you got about 20 minutes of play out of that?
Yeah, so a little bit frustrating. Thanks for that, Graham. Ruining my fantasy week. But yeah, again, that just goes back to the point of flexibility is important. Not every player will play at their best against every team. And understanding that and having the willingness to adapt to different opposition is vital. And Potter is showing that, and I couldn't be happier for it.
Yeah. Yeah, so really, I think all in all, from everything we learned from this game, from Chelsea versus Wolves, I can only take positives.
I agree.
I don't really think there's a single negative to take from it. And at this point, we're finally at a time again with Chelsea. We got strikers scoring goals, well, forwards scoring goals, defenders who can defend. And
score goals.
And I'm actually really 100% excited for our next game, not slightly dreading what's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. Normally, as a Chelsea fan, when we go through these poor periods, it's very easy to dread the next game. But right now, I'm excited.
Yeah. So basically, bring on Milan.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's try and get back into some Champions League contention. Let's be back in the conversation, because we were written off pretty early on this season, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean...
Probably rightfully so.
Yeah, it's nuts how we've basically gone pretty much bottom of our group to potentially top of our group within a week.
We'll see how it goes. As always, guys, tune in the discussion in the comments down below. Let us know what you thought of Chelsea Wolves. Are you as excited as we are? Are we overhyping it? Let us know. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time on the Final Whistle.
Bye, guys.
Football. Something like that.